In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defining feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, oak tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although oak tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist. And the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
In 1957, after winning the first ever race at VIR, the legend Carroll Shelby said, quote, "One lap at VIR is like 100 at Watkins Glen," unquote. And with that, the legend of Virginia International Raceway was born. After a period of huge popularity, the venue fell on hard times in the mid-70s, reverting to farmland for a quarter of a century. But as Luke McGrew just told us, in the year 2000, VIR reopened, having been transformed into America's original motorsports resort. It has inspired numerous knockoffs, but none can match the magic and challenge of the Snake, the roller coaster, or Hog Pen, and most revered of all, the Climbing S's. And this venue is as equally beautiful as the track is daunting, a challenge to its very core, requiring fearless precision. Tonight, this motorsports playground hosts the season finale of this first season of the 2024 Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship. Hi folks, I'm Greg Kramer, and welcome to the track that at the top of the show you saw P.L. Newman once referred to as heaven on earth. It's wonderful as always to have Kyle Heyer joining me tonight. Kyle, if ever there was a venue that you were looking to wrap up a championship at to make sure you earned it, this one might well be right at the top of the list.
I'd say so. I didn't really understand this place until I visited myself for the first time last year. This place is so fast. It's so consequential. And it's one of the good old racetracks, Greg, that, as Luke said, they didn't drive or pave the racetrack through things. They built around things, and it has this natural flow to it that is excellent. But with that comes incredibly high speeds, and there are places you can get into trouble here. Up the hill, up into roller coaster, Greg, that is where the passing opportunity for this championship will be made, and we've got two 20-minute races on tap tonight.
And they should be spectacular. Every time we've come here, we've had some fabulous racing. And you've got to drive this place, Kyle, a lot like you would drive a street course. It's a wide open racetrack, but there is no runoff in terms of gravel or paved runoff, and the ground tends to slope away everywhere. So if you go off, you almost pick up speed, and you either go a very long way and struggle to get back, or you hit something. So you've got to be very precise here. And when you head up, if you overshoot badly up in 11 and 12, up into that old oak tree turn, you could easily end up when you stop in North Carolina. It's that close to the border.
Yeah, actually, what's the last time I was here? You stayed at a hotel in North Carolina, and you drove to the racetrack every morning. Qualifying is underway tonight, Greg, but this is the last round of the season. Championships coming to a head here tonight as well. 2 20-minute races to settle it all. And if there's a racetrack that one little mistake will cost you everything, this might just be it. The one saving grace, we don't have wet weather on the horizon, because this place in the rain with all that grass and the way the track slopes away from the road, I think everyone's just counting their blessings that there's no clouds in the area.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, SCCA's runoffs ran here in the sort of the ending serious squalls of Hurricane Ian. Somebody running a little wide there, and it was unbelievable. So, yeah, glad we can avoid that. The track presents enough challenges. And the other thing with these cars, even though they've been pepped up a little bit, running a little lighter fuel load, they're underpowered. It's by design. They're what you call a momentum car. And the thing is if you get it wrong coming out of the snake, as you're just winding and building speed all the way up through the climbing S's, same thing if you get it wrong coming out of turn 12, the Oak Tree turn, with that long run down the back straight called Madison Avenue. And if you get it wrong out of Hogpen, you're just a sitting duck all the way down into the next braking zone. And so it's really critical here, not just to drive it precise, but to drive it mistake-free.
Here's a look at Nicholas Rice-Sputo. He is your championship leader coming into this last round. 13 points ahead of Camden Hibbett and 37 ahead of Jordan Rick-Segrini. So it's going to be between Rice-Sputo and Camden Hibbett. And the only reason I point this out is Nicholas has only gotten one decent lap in here in qualifying. He's scored all the way down in 27th place here, Greg. Not where he wants to be in a field of over 40, especially when his championship rival is up inside the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's I think the closest championship season we've had thus far. Only 13 points, as you said. So it's all on the line. And now Jordan Rick-Segrini mathematically still in it. Jordan had led the points through the first 4 rounds or thereabouts, but then has hit a rough patch. Here's a look at Jordan, who seems to be
in a rough patch.
A little yeah, exactly. But he's still mathematically in it. But he would need some massive help from the guys up front. But, you know, a championship deciding weekend, crazy things can happen. So he's just got to put his head down and get after it. Right now, even with that little bit of an off, he sits 4th right now in qualifying. And you know what? Good qualifying run here thus far by Deacon Greenfield, who's a birthday boy today. Deacon in that number 20. We often see him with the virtual goggles as opposed to using them. There he is. Happy birthday, Deacon, sitting in 6th right now.
Yeah, didn't have a very happy left hook there. Or that's actually NASCAR at turn 3. Left hook is the next corner down there. But P6 and a nice qualifying effort for the birthday boy. We'll see how he does tonight. Big field tonight as well. This is a popular racetrack. It's now free iRacing content as well as of a couple of seasons ago. And this laser scan is as of 2022 and had been previously done in 2006. So it's brand spanking new in iRacing, and it's one of the great North American racetracks. So it's going to be a popular night. But, Greg, the trouble spot usually starts early down into turn 1. This is a very tight, challenging turn, and the straightaways here are so long. I've had Tom O'Gorman tell me that this racetrack, there is a lot of nuance to it, yes, but essentially it's 3 really long straightaways bolted together with the climbing S's, the backstretch up Madison Avenue, and the front straightaway. And you're going to be getting to terminal velocity pretty quick, even in these cars.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, I like that. 3 long straightaways bolted together by some squiggly stuff.
Yes.
But the squiggly stuff has lots of elevation change and some serious, as Tom would put it, texture in spots as well. This is this fabulous run through Hogpen. You can see you have that off like that. Depending upon your angle, it just falls away on the outside in that grass, and you can't get stopped. But here's this long straight we're talking about. And the tricky thing is, one, pit out. If you have to pit out blends right into the racing line. You can see it right there. And then turn 1, very, very tight entry, and then it opens up. It's an increasing radius corner, and if you can make it planted around the outside, you can actually make it work, have the inside into NASCAR. And I love how NASCAR Bend got its name. In one of the early races, they had a bunch, one of the first Trans Am race actually ever held at VIR. They had a number of NASCAR stars of the day, and we're talking the day of David Pearson and Richard Petty and that. And even though it was a left-hander, because NASCAR or turn 3, it starts and you're turning as you're braking, and then it tightens up. It's a decreasing radius. They struggled mightily there, and that's why it got the nickname NASCAR Bend. So there's such history to this place, and it's sad we lost it for a quarter of a century. But man, and I'll tell you, Kyle, this new scan finally really presents this as the beautiful place it is. That previous scan, a little rough, but now it really grabs the beauty of it here, and it is that.
Yeah, it was one of iRacing's earliest laser scans back in 2005 or 2006 when the tech was very new. It's pretty well fleshed out now. We do have another driver up in the front here as far as the running order that is concerned, not going for another consecutive championship. That's Morgan Burkhardt, second on the day so far, and we've got him joining us now. Morgan Burkhardt qualifying in second, tentatively. Morgan, you've agreed to allow us into the cockpit tonight at a couple points, and we're very excited to talk to you in the heat of battle.
I am too. I'm looking forward to this. Just trying to kind of find a drafting partner right now, and it hasn't really gone my way quite yet. But we'll see. There's still a little bit of qualifying left, so we'll just kind of walk through this lap here, right behind Skip Brock Jr. I like to wrap the back side of turn number 1. It's just a shorter distance, especially in a car like this. Through here, you really just have to bend the car through. It's a super late apex, and then you can just use all of the excess road out of there. Through here, you don't really want to extend all that much before coming into the snake, because it just pinches up again on that right-hander if you run all the way out. So just got to be really, really mindful about how much track you use through there. And as soon as you get through the left hook and beginning the snake, you make a straight line from here until we get to South Bend, as physically straight with the wheel as you possibly can be, right over these curbings, making sure that there's little to no wheel movement. And then, coming up into South Bend, fastest corner on the track, just a quick downshift, back to throttle to keep it stable, just keeping her really, really tight on the exit, making sure you don't run off, because it'll grab the car and kind of chuck it, and Skip Brock seems to be bailing there. And making sure the most important corner on this track is the one that we just did right there. It's Oak Tree. You have to be getting on the throttle super, super early coming out of the corner so that you can get a really good run onto this 4,000 foot long back straight. So it is one of the most, like, you can draft up to somebody, past them, and then be repassed by the time that you get up to the roller coaster here. And the cool thing about the roller coaster, you get uphill braking, so you can brake after the one board, bend it into the corner over the first curbings, again making straight lines so you can use the most amount of grip from the tire that you possibly can, plunging down the hill into the roller coaster, opening up the corner, cutting the track, going into hog pen, making sure we land in that compression, get the car to rotate on the back end of hog pen, keeping it tight on the exit, just shortening up that distance, and then the run. This track is one of the most dangerous, is a good word, but it's a lot of fun when you get it right. High intensity, and the racing is just as high.
Well, it is, and I got to tell you, I loved that 4,000 foot straightaway. It isn't so much a straight as it is a landing field. I mean, it's that big. But what I was going to ask, Morgan, pretty spectacular weekend here in the fall in the SCCA National Championship runoffs, putting your Spec Racer Ford 3 on pole in your first ever runoffs. And how much of that was due to what you're able to do and learn in the sims, and how much from that pole winning effort can you put in now into the Spec Miatas here in the sim?
Quite a lot, actually. I mean, VIR is such a difficult track to learn, especially like if you're just going in there the first time you've ever seen it, the elevation hits you like a brick wall. So getting your mind wrapped around that while you're also trying to learn a car at a new track is super difficult. So the sim, and especially racing with all these really, really talented drivers here in the Full Simpson Spec Miata series, really prepared me to go to the runoffs and be the best that I possibly could. I knew the track before I got there because of the sim. I knew kind of how the racecraft was going to work, because racecraft doesn't really change from track to track, right? The passing zones are going to be pretty similar. The drafting areas are going to be pretty similar. So using the Full Sense Sims League to go into the runoffs was super easy. It was a really easy transition. Just kind of figuring out where's the break points with the Spec Racer, where's the turn-in points, things like that. There's the little differences in cars, and once you drive it in the real world, you figure out a couple tips and tricks, because we had so many different sessions over so many days. You can try a bunch of different things. You can watch a bunch of different people do especially with the racecraft, like maybe a move into 3 works, maybe a move into 4 works, something like that. So using that to come back and then improve the sim experience is super important.
Well, no matter where you are in your career, you can never stop learning. And I'll tell you what, that was an incredible run for you. You know, as Court Schmidt and the Full Send Sims boys have as their slogan, practice makes podium. In your case, practice made pole. And that's pretty darn cool here. So, Kyle, I'm looking forward to hearing from Morgan as this goes on. We got some other great news to pass along about Morgan as well here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Morgan, while you're still here, I want to wish you congratulations. 2nd place at Sebring in the Michelin Pilot Challenge back at Sebring in the TCR category. So, Morgan, congratulations on that when the VGRT team, Full Send Sims, is on that car. And that was an awesome run for you. So congrats on that, and good luck today. We'll talk to you in a little while.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
And Greg, there's also some other news from Sebring. Dan Goldberg of United Autosports secured a 3rd place in the LMP2 class at the Sebring 12-hour. Full Send Sims has recently designed and provided Dan with a cutting-edge simulator that mirrors his LMP2 race car precisely, from the seating arrangement and steering wheel configuration to the pedal pressures and the dashboard layout. Spending a day at the race shop with Dan, FSS meticulously gathered data on the LMP2 to ensure that every detail of the car could be accurately replicated on that simulator. I want one like that. That's cool.
Oh, no kidding. And in that case, practice makes podium is right, because that 3rd spot in the ultra competitive and very fast LMP2 category, that's one hell of an achievement, and just an absolutely great job by Dan with a nice assist from Full Send Sims. So things continue to evolve here in the world of Full Send Sims, and we're lucky for sure to be a part of it as the field is out on their pace lap. Quick reminder here, big thank you. We've talked about Full Send Sims, but also 3P Logistics. Frank Rodriguez, they've been with us since the very beginning. Final Turn Motorsports, 2 of the top prep shops in the business, and a huge thanks to them. And then also Wine Country Motorsports. They joined us a little bit later on into it, and so good to have them on board. And this is our season finale weekend, so not only are we going for the top 3 in points and those trophies, but the highest qualified in terms of a finishing position for the hardware. This year we'll get the highest qualified one. We'll explain that in a minute. A Samsung 49-inch ultra-wide monitor. 2nd gets a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus. 3rd, a Logitech G Pro X gaming headset. And the qualification there is if you've already won one in the previous calendar year, or you're an administrator or an instructor with Full Send Sims, you aren't eligible for them. So even if you're not in the top 3 at the end, you can still get some nice hardware. So, you think about the guys like Morgan Burkhardt, he's not going to get it, but Josh Soto, Olivier Piatek, those guys still have a shot at this.
Issues. Something's going on. Something has... Okay, so we're going to have to reboot and go again in a different session. There was an issue that removed Nick Rice-Spudo, so that can't happen. So we're going to have to reboot another session that has to include him. So we'll have to. I was confused because all the cars went back to pit lane. And so for the time being, Greg, we're we're kind of in a holding pattern here. Let's see if my red flag button works. Yes, it does.
There it is, red flag. Well, at first I was thinking, do we have that many people with 10 or more penalty points that had to start in the pits? And then it became obvious, nope, something's up here. Well, hey, you know what? This gives us an opportunity. I wanted to talk about what's coming up here. Obviously, we're wrapping up the first season of 2024. Often you'll hear it referred to as season 4 sometimes, but I confirmed it. It's supposed to be 3 seasons per year, and it's a 1, 2, 3. We will have a live on YouTube right here award ceremony April 2nd. So make sure and tune in. That'll start at 7 p.m. And those are fun. We get to have some fun and laugh and visit with some of the guys, and it's really enjoyable. Season 2 begins April 30th. And once again, it will be a 10-race season. They always are looking to massage things to make it more fun, more competitive, more intriguing. We'll certainly let you know as we start that season what's been done. Once that's done, July 16th will be the live awards at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Then we have another 6-week break, and then the final or 3rd season of 2024 will start August 20th. And run for 10 consecutive weeks. And then again, we'll have an award ceremony November 5th live on YouTube starting at 7. So lots to be thinking about and paying attention to. It's going to be another fabulous year.
Yeah, that is going to be a very, very fun year ahead of us. So looking forward to that, and it's been a great season as well. And while Morgan Burkhardt has had a lot of success, it is really fun to watch some other drivers battle for a title here. We're not coming in knowing who's going to win this title fight, especially with only 13 points. It could go very different. We're already seeing some things in the way of that going smoothly for Nicholas Rice-Puto, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Well, and, one of the things that, and it makes sense, but, to see it laid so bare in terms of the stats is when you start to get down in the 8, 9, 10 or lower qualifying ranks in terms of average starts. And of course, being it's an iRacing, sim and computer driven, we get these amazing stats. As soon as you start hitting 9th, 10th as an average starting spot, the drop off to average finish skyrockets. And it's because you're in the meat of things as you head into like a turn one here, or as turn one at Road Atlanta, or any of these really tight places where things can happen. So being up front is such a huge, huge asset to survive the opening lap and make it pay at the end. And you think about it, Nicholas Rice-Puto, an average start of 4.3, average finish of 5.5. Camden Hivitt, one of the two guys whose average start and finish is virtually identical. His average start 4.9, average finish 5.3. So call both of them 5, right? Then Jordan Ricksagrini, average start 5.5, but average finish 8. Morgan Burkhardt, and Morgan too, in his defense, obviously missed a couple of rounds due to racing commitments with that team. So his numbers are a little bit out there. But you look at Joshua Soto, 5.8 average start, but 8.4. Next up, 9.4 to 13. As you get in there, it's really tough to be consistent. And the thing that this year, Kyle, seems to be setting Rice-Puto completely apart a little bit is he's just been a point-scoring machine. He's only had 2 wins, to 4 for early point leader Jordan Ricksagrini and 5 for Morgan Burkhardt. But he has had 14, every one of the races that have been counted so far, he has had a top 5 finish. That's how, in the end, you win championships.
Consistency is absolutely the key, and sometimes it's not about maximizing the good days. You're going to get those here and there. It's about how do you minimize the bad days, and finishing top 5 is certainly a great way to do that. While we're waiting for the session to pop back up and for it to repopulate, we're going to step away, and once again, we'll show you that feature with Luke McGrew on VIR. We'll be back from the Full Send Sim Spec Miata series here from VIR in a moment.
In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defying feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, Oak Tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak Tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although Oak Tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen, turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist, and the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Welcome back, everybody. VIR take 2. We're going to give it another go here, obviously. A little bit of an issue there, but dealt with beautifully, and we are looking to get this race, the first of 2 still tonight, underway, trying to make sure we get everything in, as it is our season finale for this first season of 2024 for the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship. And hopefully everybody's going to be able to rejoin, and we'll be able to get this one going soon. The problem looks to have been solved, and it's just a matter of everybody signing back in, and then we can go racing here. And it's Greg Creamer along with Kyle Heyer. And also want to say, as I have all season long, Finian DeCuna has just done an absolutely superb job backing you up, Kyle, but also
yes.
dealing with all of the cameras. And you really don't understand, folks. I'm an old school guy. I've dealt with actual big TV truck production. This is all kind of new to me. There's so much on the back end here that you don't know that's going on. And Finian has just been absolutely remarkable, hasn't he?
Finian's saving my butt tonight again, Greg, because we've got another show on Sim TV coming up in about 45 minutes. And this is his night off, and I said, hey, man, I'm in a pickle. Can you back me up here? And he's going to start that other show so we can finish things up on here, even on a delay, and then I'll go over and take over that show when we're done here. So good thing he's in the house tonight and not going out having fun, because Kyle needs him to save him. So big thanks to Finian, as always. We're just kind of waiting for everyone to get back in the server. We're just waiting on a couple more drivers. Then we'll go and try this again. But whatever issue has happened, we are going to keep the qualifying order that we had already qualified, so that's not going to change. We've got our 2 20-minute races back-to-back, 13 points between Nicholas Rice-Budo and Camden Hibbett. All that's the same. We just had to take a little redo here and fire things back up a second time.
Well, in the world of racing, whether it's sim or real world, you're always on call.
Yes.
Just that simple.
I did make the point that it was probably easier to restart a race in the real world than it is in iRacing, because you don't need to, the qualifying order is known. You just, grid everyone out back up manually. But here in iRacing, you got to tell all the cars where the grid spots are going to be. So that's kind of what took so long. But we're just a couple minutes away now from getting things fired up. I think we had just over 40, and I see almost 40 on the timing screen at the moment. So things are looking good. But nerves. This delay, much like a rain delay in the real world, Greg, and we will have rain delays or some variation of them in the future here, I'm sure. In iRacing, rain just got launched, not yet for this car. The nerves on the drivers waiting around. It's the hurry up and wait, anxious to get rolling. How much does that affect you? Even in a sim world, I'm sure that can be distracting.
I would think so. You're all geared up. You're leaving the pits. You're on the pace lap. In this case, you're talking with your teammates, and of course, in the PRG team, there's 30 of them, and they're all chatting back and forth. They're getting amped and getting ready to go, and suddenly it's like, uh-oh, something's going wrong. And we just saw people pitting or just suddenly disappearing, and it became obvious. So now you got to get your head back into it and get ready to go. And whether whether it's real world or sim, these guys are ultra competitive, and it will affect you, and that's part and parcel of the program here. So we are getting ready to go. Good look there at Camden Hibbett. 13 points adrift of Nicholas Rice-Budo, who is our championship leader here. And this is going to be such a fun couple of races to wrap this one up. Nicholas, you look at what he's done in the 3 championships we had in 2023, Kyle. He was 4th in the first one, 3rd in the second one, and 2nd in the third one. So, he's hitting for the cycle if he pulls this off. But Camden is not going to go down quietly.
He is not, but I did notice that our starting lineup, which we'll show you in a moment here, I don't think is exactly the way it is supposed to be. Nicholas Rice-Budo down in 26, Camden Hibbett down in 27. So I don't think that worked quite right. I think we'll just roll with it as is, I presume. But obviously this is going to be a little bit of a mix-up as far as the qualifying order is concerned, and that's going to make this very, very confusing and challenging for those drivers that are fighting through. Now, the good news is they're going to start right next to each other, those championship fighters, 26th and 27th, but it's about to be a very busy race, and they have to keep the car on the road.
Well, and that's what I remember what we were talking about before we took our break when this problem developed. The deeper you are in the field, your average start versus average finish plummets for the average finish. So it's going to be survival for this first lap, maybe even 2 here with this huge field if they're mired back in the pack like that. So this whole championship is going to get turned upside down. And where is Jordan Ricksagrini starting? I think I see his car And we're now starting to move some cars around, and I think that's a good thing here. So we're going to get delayed a little bit more, but we've just got to get this right because these guys have fought hard for this championship, and they deserve their opportunities. So the nice thing here is the communication to the cars can be done fairly easily, can't it?
Yeah, sure can. And all the drivers will be listening into the radio, and I'm sure all the admins are working very hard right now to sort this. What they're going to do, and actually this is a good way to solve this problem, is they're going to let everyone, they're going to call the cars one by one to leave the pits in the order that they qualified. They're going to get a black flag when the green flag waves because they're out of order, according to what iRacing wants them to be, but there is a command to clear all those black flags immediately, so that won't be of concern. This way we can preserve the qualifying order we were supposed to have, and it will keep everything fair and square as far as coming into the evening. It's a very, very great way of dealing with this. I wasn't actually sure what they were going to do, but this makes a lot of sense, and we have a very long pace lap to get everyone sorted quite right, so nicely done. The one thing that they're going to have to worry about, though, is I wonder what happens when the pace car is leading the field by so much. I don't know if, well, let's see, it's in the snake right now. They're might have to catch up to it, or the green might be based on the lead car. I'm not really sure. So this is uncharted territory even for me.
Yeah, 3.27 miles here. That gives you room to do this. This would be a little bit of a struggle at, say, Lime Rock, huh?
Yeah, it would be. And now you can also add pace laps manually. So you can delay the start. If we needed to do that, we could. But I do think that once the green waves, it will count against your 20-minute allotment. So they'll have to do that before the flag goes out. But I think they've got most of the field rolling, and we should be in pretty good shape. Now, my timing screen is going to be very confusing to look at because the order won't update until we cross the line for the first time.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, for two, maybe three guys here in this field, a huge moment was just avoided here because you look, there is the 0-3 of our points leader coming in here, and he didn't have the best qualifying to start with, so he was probably a little nervous about that. And then he suddenly finds himself way back there, and there's the 108 in very close concert here. So we're back where we should be. The interesting thing is Olivier Piatek, he hasn't necessarily had the results that he would have loved, but man, he has shown some amazing speed. And there's a lot of other guys around these championship contenders who are wicked quick. And for them, it's a matter of, all right, are we going to the front regardless of the championship guys? If you're a teammate to one of them, you're probably going to be a little bit more genteel. And a guy who's sort of an interloper here is this Jeremy Fairbairn. In practice, he finished second in the practice times, dropped a little bit in quali, but he's got speed.
He really does. He was up in the top 5, as you pointed out, in practice, and he's definitely one to watch, starting up here inside the top 10. So he'll absolutely be a factor in this race. As the rest of the field, I think, is rolling up to speed. 38 cars will be taking the green flag in this one. Man, I bet you Trace Hance, though, would have loved to have the spot that he was supposed to start in based on iRacing, because he would have been right on the pole, but he'll start mid-20s, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nathan Nicholson, who right now is sitting on that pole position in that red and white car, he has been wickedly fast. Obviously he's showing in 30th where they had him lined up, but he's been brilliant this year. And when you look at the stats, he's only done a few races, but he's the one guy, 5.8 average start, 3.5 average finish, and 6 races counted. He's got a win and 6 top 5. So he's got all the chance in the world here of winning this one and making that battle for the championship even more intense.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a factor. He would have started 30th, as you pointed out. That would have been a very busy day for Nathan Nicholson, but he will start up front. Answers my question about what happens when the pace car gets to pit lane. Nothing, because it's already there. So the green flag will happen when the lead car is close enough to the start line to trigger the starting process. So very well done, and honestly, that could have been another big damper on the evening, another delay if we had to resort the order again. So that was about the most elegant solution they were going to get to, and did that pretty quick and conveniently. So nice work on the admins tonight, dealing with a situation that is not ideal, but we always say in iRacing, you don't have blown tires, you don't have engines going out, you don't have necessarily earthquakes or thunderstorms or hurricanes. What you do have is the internet and the software, and those two things are enough randomness to make it exciting at times.
Well, all that other stuff's bad, but basically computer tech, electrical glitches, nothing more frustrating in the world. But it's all settled now. Our front row, Nathan Nicholson and points contender Camden Hibbett, the young man, showing some good form. Some very quick drivers in company here. There's the yellow and black of Rick Segrini, still mathematically in with a shout. And then behind them, you can just see behind that green and white car is your points leader. Here we go. 2 races to go in this Season 1 2024 championship. First of the double headers, about to finally go green after a delay. Whose nerves are less frayed? Who's ready for this? Whose head is truly in it? We're about to find out, Kyle.
Here we go. It's a long run down to the start line. And are the anxious nerves going to get to drivers, Greg? Here we go.
All right, they're rolling into it, into the acceleration zone. We're green! 2 to go, and Hibbett getting a nice start. But look at Rick Segrini. Pops to the outside. He's going to try and thread between Hibbett and Morgan Burkhardt from that outside line. That's what we talked about. This might be his real-world track knowledge. Able to pin it around the outside. Gets in front of Rick Segrini. Couple of cars in the background having a problem. Looks like they'll both be able to continue. I think that's Jordan Butler, one of them. But it is Hibbett who leads. And look at this, the 2 teammates, Burkhardt and Nicholson, side by side into the tricky left hook.
Yeah, more trouble at NASCAR Bend for Ayrton Grimm and Luke Law. The other car involved in that turn 1 collision was Andrew Gilliland. He's back rolling now. Into the snake, though, very tight quarters between Burkhardt and Nicholson. They're going to get sorted out nose to tail, but the 0-3 of Rice Budo did not get the launch that Camden Hibbett did or Rick Segrini did. And though the qualifying effort wasn't great, he's going to have to get up on the wheel here, Greg, if he wants to save his championship with that 132 running so well.
Yeah, he's trying to sneak around the green and white car of Piatek right now. It's the black car with the orange graphics around the headlights. There he is, your points leader, and he is now back in that 6th spot. So he really needed to clear the very quick Piatek, and now he's got to put his head down and try and get to the front. Right now, this margin, it would still, I think, at the end of the race, Rice Budo would be leading in the points, but man, it would be shrunk to a very small margin, not what he wants to see.
And then consider we have a whole other race after that as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double points night every night, right? Because we've got 2 races back to back. So the consequences of one bad race filter into the next. We saw that happen with Jordan Rick Segrini a couple weeks ago, where he had one bad race and then had to start at the tail of the field for the next one. And while he did climb a bunch of spots, he didn't have the success he would have had he not had that bad race in race 1. Burkhardt on Camden Hibbett, and here's Nicholson, Patry, and Rick Segrini down the hill.
Burkhardt looked like he got into the roller coaster just a little bit too hot and ended up on the car, skipped just a little bit on him, and he had to gather it back up. And now he and Hibbett have been teammates for a large part of this year. And if that's the case, there's really not a better guy, if he's still your teammate, to have on your 6 as a wingman than Morgan Burkhardt, I would think.
Yeah, they had a couple run-ins earlier in the season, all fair as far as they were telling us. But here comes a push from Nathan Nicholson down into the horseshoe and to the lead.
Well, both of them, we know Nicholson and Burkhardt are teammates. I don't see the PRG on the car, and Hibbett gets trapped 3 wide around the exit of turn number 1. He, just that fast, has gone from the lead to 5th. And guess who's coming up on his shoulder? Nicholas Rice Budo. And look at that move by Jordan Rick Segrini around the outside of NASCAR, using that curb to its fullest extent, still there, trying to get down to the inside of Caleb Patry. And what a move by Rick Segrini. He is not giving this championship up.
No, he's got to be up front tonight. Maybe podiums in both races with a little bad luck, but he is still in it, and he's fighting like it. Up to 3rd place for that 108. Big moves in the first sector of the racetrack, and now he's got to chase Nicholson and Burkhardt because they have just lit the afterburners as they climb up the climbing S's and towards Oak Tree again.
I don't know right now, is Hibbett at this stage for this final round part of the PRG team? I don't see any type of graphic on the car, and the way that those two just, barged by him, you sure wouldn't think so. You think they'd be helping him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I know that liveries, some nights they work, some nights they don't, so I'm not sure I want to hold myself to knowing that the livery is the denotation of that, but we'll see. Up the back straightaway there, and behind there's a couple other cars to keep our eyes on. Right ahead of Nicholas Rice Budo is that Jeremy Fairbairn, a new competitor here tonight. And Rice Budo's not going to push him. He's going to go with Piatek to the inside.
Looks to make the big move here, and it is a critical one here, and you can get it done Did he get it done late enough to be able to make it stick?
Oh,
no,
contact.
Fairbairn to touch. And that's going to let Piatek through too. That is not what Rice Budo wants to see happening here.
No, and I think the damage was pretty minimal, so it won't affect the car a whole lot, but it definitely knocked him out in a pretty critical part of the racetrack. If you go off at roller coaster, you go for a pretty wild ride, so he's going to have to just shake that one off and get back after it, because Morgan Burkhardt is setting sail up front, a second clear of Nicholson, who's now back in Rick Segrini's clutches, and here comes Camden Hibbett.
Oh man, and Hibbett now is going to look to the inside. You can see Rick Segrini cover. Camden pops to the outside here. And that is not going to, oh, what happened there? Is that Nathan Nicholson having an off?
It is.
Boy, you don't see him do that very often. How did it, he just
drove
got
off
in there too high.
Yeah. Big mistake there.
Yeah,
Down to
wow,
10th.
that changes the dynamic a bit.
Certainly does. Alex McClellan off at turn 1, but a couple other cars. Michael Lauren chasing the car, and Nicholson is going to get right back after making passes. That was a critical mistake, and he's still, he's going to get contact here from Lauren and get shoved off here in Snake.
Yeah, and there comes Deacon Greenfield, the birthday boy, and that blue and green, number 20, forces his way up and through, and that's going to push him up into the 11th spot, just outside of the top 10. And back to the virtual goggles at this stage, and he is leaning now on Lauren, and if he can get through on Lauren, that's 10th. Oh, somebody skipping way to the inside there. Was that Hayden Manis?
It was. He just bailed out because he didn't think they could go through there side by side and just took to the grass. Honestly, it's not a terrible idea, and they came out the other side in one piece, so job well done, I suppose.
Yeah, sometimes you just sort of fall on the sword to keep things going. A little bit of a compression run there into Oak Tree. And we heard Morgan talk about, without question, this is the most important turn on the track in these momentum cars, even more so. And look at the bobbing and weaving as Lauren in that bright purple 133 trying to break any kind of a toe possible here. But it's not helping him as Greenfield and the recovering Nathan Nicholson are going to try and work their way through.
For gear here. Whoa, big slide into roller coaster. He was fighting that car on the braking and decel, and he got it wound down, and Trace Hance gets shuffled off in the back.
What a shame, Trace. What a up and down, I hate to say it, as he's in the roller coaster. So an up and down season he's had. He's had some great form at times, and then he's had some rough races. In the real world, he's been absolutely superb in the Spec Miatas, but struggling a little bit here. But what a save by Deacon Greenfield. And just in case you're wondering, did you see the look on Deacon's face when that car skipped out? He just started going, hoo, 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 hoo. You can just see him doing that. That's the intensity that we have here.
Yeah, and that intensity is not all that different from being in the real race car. You might not be the same physicality, but it'll catch you by surprise in the same way. And I had an experience when I was driving a Spec Miata around Road America that I locked up a tire in the wet. And the reaction I had was the same one that I would have in the simulator. I'd never experienced locked brakes before, but I knew as long as I released the pressure, I would get traction back and the wheel would start rolling and I could continue braking, and that's exactly what happened. So while it's not exactly the same physicality, there's still absolutely training to be had in how you react to those high pressure situations.
Oh, without a doubt. You completely learn to understand the dynamics of the car a little bit. You still have to make the adjustments in real world, but you can do Rick Segrini right there through the climbing S's. They have run down Burkhardt. He would eased away just a little bit, and Rick Segrini almost got offline a little bit, was able to save it as they made their way through the climbing S's. And now here they come. Tricky braking area here into Oak Tree. So easy to overshoot.
And Camden Hibbett's right here, and one thing that's critical for Hibbett is this group is completely separate from that includes Nicholas Rice Budo, the championship leader, so they can fight amongst themselves for now. I don't think it's as big of a gain as Camden would like to get in this first race, but it's absolutely something, and Rice Budo's got a lot of cars to pass and ground to make up if he wants a shot at him.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see at this stage now for Camden, how much risk is he going to take knowing that Rice Budo's back in 7th. A win pays a lot more points than 3rd, but 3rd pays a lot more points than none. You know what I mean? From a really risky move here. So we'll see what his game plan is here. For Rice Budo right now, he's, if he could get his hands up into his helmet, he'd be gnashing his teeth a little bit. And the guy who's just been mega impressive is Rick Segrini. From where he started, he was just superb in his charge to the front, just saying, I'm not giving this one up easy. And look at this, right side tires by all three of them in the grass for a minute, trying to find any advantage here.
Well, the door wasn't open, but I'll jam my foot in it and see if I can get it to crack open. Down into the horseshoe here, and Rick Segrini throttles up a little sooner. See him close in on Burkhardt through the center of the turn. He's right on his heels as behind them, a little bit of a scramble here as one car is slow, Gianni Morrow, and that'll allow the 0-3 to gain a spot, and he's on the outside now of Fairbairn.
Yeah, and you can make this work, as Fairbairn gave him room, but he's got the inside in the left hook, and it's really tough to go around the outside there because that next turn, 5A, or 5 as it's numbered, comes up in a big hurry. And I've always said, when people say, so what's the stats on VIR? I go, it's 3.27 miles and 17-ish corners, because there's lots of A's and B's that you'll find out there as well. Now look at the gap they've opened up here, this lead trio. They have truly broken the rest of the field. That's bad news for Race Puto.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds between Ibbett and Piatek, and that is growing. They are still pulling away, and despite their scrapping, they haven't really spent a lot of time side by side, so they're still running very, very quick. Bit of battles deeper in the field here through the S's, Skip Brock Jr. and Greg Ginsberg. And then Jordan Butler back here in that 72. Remember, he was off at the opening corner, so his rebound has been actually pretty nice.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job fighting his way back through and having a really, really good scrap here. And right up in front right now of Skip Brock is Blair Diffenbach in that 106, the paint-colored car, and the DuPont Paints car, as you can see right there. But look at this. Hibbett has gone through on Rick Segrini. This is huge in terms of the championship. Down now into the roller coaster. Be interesting to see what he did where to make that pass.
Yeah, Camden,
boy, do they hop the curb there.
Yeah, they really have to commit in such a big way. But I think Camden just read Jordan very, very well, and I think Jordan might have left some performance on the table as far as braking is concerned. Right here, he's going to leave a little bit.
Oh, we got wide.
Yeah, and just slid out, and then Camden slots in ahead of him. A nice job there reading the track by Camden.
Yep, it might just be that Camden coming up, Rick Segrini just by a microsecond missed his braking point a little bit, but he dives right back down underneath, and I think that was all started by that lap car that they came through, and that may have been, Rick Segrini may have used that car as a pick.
Yeah, that was Adrian Hance going a lap down, and these two are still fighting side by side. This is awesome. Fierce.
And you just get offline a little bit. You can find pace in certain spots here. And they are just cut thrust right now. And, of course, that is Burkhardt out front. And the only thing, I mean, it's really no harm, no foul for anybody if Burkhardt wins because he's not in the championship, but he's taking points. And that is where it could be an issue.
Yeah, Camden would like some points, and Morgan's got them. And while they were fighting, they lost a little ground to Piatek, and or I guess vice versa. Piatek and Patry gained some ground, but lost it again almost immediately. That's how fast these front three are. They lost a half a second to the fourth and fifth cars, and then they gained it back in one sector.
And you know what's interesting to me? I'm not familiar with Fairbairn. Obviously, he's very quick, and I'm wondering if for Nicholas Rice Puto, if they have not raced each other ever, although, Jeremy part of the PRG team, so he's got to have some cred. But if they've never raced each other, Nicholas may be a little leery about trying something if he just doesn't know how the guy races.
Well, remember the last time they were side by side in a roller coaster, they made contact. Yeah. So I would be a bit skeptical if I'm Rice Puto. Do I take a 7th or do I go for 6th or 5th and risk everything? I don't know that I'd want to do that. But this race, we only have 7 minutes left of this race. Look how fast it's gone by.
This has been such an enthralling race. And again, looking at championship implications, this is what makes this so spectacular, because you've raced a whole season. Yeah, you get some drops, but we come into this and the missions are pretty clear here. And again, then we have that delay right at the start when everybody was jacked up. It's just, hey, they are, whoever wins this championship, Kyle, is going to earn it the old-fashioned way. They've earned it, right?
Yeah, they have to race each other. And VIR is such a fantastic racetrack for it. Into turn one, everyone's kind of playing the game up here. I think these three know that if they can continue running nose to tail, they can keep that second pack well in the rear view and fight amongst themselves. 3 cars is about as much as you can handle the battle here. Once you get beyond that, it gets unruly and cars go spinning in roller coaster. I've seen that so many times.
Oh, look at Piatek trying to come up the inside. That's going to affect Fairbairn, and look at that move. Oh, and then a touch, and Rice Puto, oh, he had that pass made, and then they had the touch, and he had to check up, and he couldn't get through. If there wouldn't have been that touch, I think he would at least have gone through into 6th.
Yeah, again, watch this. We'll watch from high above here as they come through NASCAR Bend. The opportunities here to pass 2 cars in one swoop, but contact there on exit. He has to jam the brakes. Kept the nose clean, didn't run into the back of Piatek, but it did slow him down. He lost an opportunity to get by 2 cars there.
Oh, he is going to be just chomping at the bit here, grinding his teeth away, trying to figure this out, trying to look through here. Got to be careful. Fastest turn on the track right here, one of those corners, blind entrance, and you've got to get right. If you're not on that curb on the exit, you're not as fast as you should be through there. But one little miscue, Kyle, and you can run right off of the outside of that curb. And that's a true gut check corner, and you just got to commit to it. Look at that, the gap up to the leaders, just going out of frame.
And Nicholas tried to set up Oak Tree, but it's a tricky corner to set up because you're braking and slowing down the entire time. So your tires can only do so many things at once. If you're braking, using all your energy to brake, you can't steer. If you're using all your energy to steer, you can't brake. And you're trading off those things pretty much equally as Fairbairn has a look at Piatek here. But these 4 cars are continuing to lose copious amounts of distance to those front 3, and Rice Puto's going nowhere. It's looking unlikely that he's going to defeat Camden Hibbett unless there's drama up front in this race. Now, there's still a race to go, but again, yes, Hibbett's making up ground, and this is important if he wants to win this title.
Yeah, I mean, he has got to figure out a way to pick up a few more points here, but he's got to do it safely. And look at this now. Rick Segrini into the back for a minute of Hibbett, now pops to the outside. He's going to try and round him up, and thought about trying to round up Burkhardt. There's what I was talking about. You can make that move stick, and he's going to have the inside here into turn 3 or NASCAR Bend, but let's see what Hibbett does. Does he try and round the outside, or is he going to try and square up underneath? And Rick Segrini covered that perfectly. He put his car, Kyle, right where Hibbett would have liked to have gone, and absolutely nulled out that attack.
Well, I want to get this in before the white flag goes out because I want to let him get to work, but he did off first. So let's chat with Morgan Burkhardt as he tries to hold off Jordan Rick Segrini and Camden Hibbett. Morgan, you are hard at work. I know we're going to leave you that last lap for you just to go to work, but take us through what you're experiencing right now in defending.
Well, I know that Camden's got a lot of points on the lines here, so he might be aggressive, he might be passive. We'll have to see. Jordan, I think he's going to probably try and go for it pretty hard. But this entire race, I've been watching and seeing who's good where, and I think I've got them both coming out of Oak Tree, so I might be able to make something happen coming out of there. Jordan's really good on the binders through roller coaster and really good at a hog pen, so that'll be something to watch. And Camden's also been doing pretty well through the snake, so everybody's got a different section of the track down pat, so I might try and lead it here and just white line and see if I can't get them to stack up going through Oak Tree and just throw it in deep and hope it sticks going to the roller coaster. But we'll see what happens. They look like they're pushing right now. I don't think anybody really wants to lead, so there might be a whole lot of who goes first towards the end here.
Oh, and Hibbett right there makes a little bit of a move, tried to get into, oh, and he did. He got into Rick Segrini's head, got the mirrors, and Rick Segrini exit of 14 into what we'd call 14A into 15, runs just a little wide, and Hibbett is through. Sorry to jump on you there, Morgan, but Hibbett has made move number 1, and white flag coming out. Morgan, we'll let you get your head down and do your job, but Kyle, that was a superb move by Camden Hibbett into an area where Morgan said that Rick Segrini was really strong.
Championship's on the line. You got to go for it. These are big points for Camden Hibbett, especially with Rice Puto stuck back in 7th place. Rice Puto's going for a spot down here at turn 1 on the outside of Fairbairn, but that PRG car has just been an immovable object, and they crash ahead of him.
Fairbairn tried to go underneath and pick up 2 spots, inevitable contact, and then right there, boom, and it collects all 3 of them, and Rice Puto able to come through, gets by 2 of them at least, and we'll have to see whether that car is damaged of Piatek. But look who's glommed onto the back, who snuck through doing an absolutely, we haven't talked about him this race, Jack Murchison. What a race he is putting in the number 25.
Yeah, where did he come from? He's going for a top 5 here if he can get by one of these 2 cars. And Rice-Budo's car is also hurt on the nose. He was involved in that collision, although he picked up 2 spots in the process. So championship on the line for that orange and black car, but he's still got work to do if he wants to maximize his points back here in P5.
Boy, talk about late race, late season drama here. And Rice-Budo, he's just got to, he'd love to get through on Piatek, another spot, especially with Hibbett gnawing away at Burkhardt here. And we'll see where that is. But right now, look at this. Rice-Budo, wider arc. That could be a better drive. He might be able to get this one done. Meanwhile, Hibbett, up in the front, you can see him hunting, looking at Burkhardt. He's in the grass as they are heading into the roller coaster, trying anything and everything here down this long airstrip. And here comes Rick Zagrini, and we heard Burkhardt say he's great on the brakes. He's down to the inside of both of them. They're 3 abreast, Kyle, into the roller coaster. And did Hibbett do it? No. He floats off. He's going to get sideways. He saves it. Are they going to come together? Is he going to be able to close the door? And Rick Zagrini, Burkhardt's gone, but it's a side-by-side duel. And right now, position looks good for Rick Zagrini. Gets the door shut on Hibbett as Rick Zagrini slams it, but there's a long way to the finish line.
Here they come. Checkered flag for Morgan Burkhardt, but for second, Greg, it's a drag race for these 2. Championship on the line and a battle for second.
Oh, it's going to be a side draft to the flag, and Rick Zagrini, well, it says Hibbett. It says Hibbett. We'll have to watch now. It changes back to Rick Zagrini. Meanwhile, where did Rice-Budo found a way and up into that 5th spot? He couldn't get around on Piatek. Wow. Hibbett in 3rd, Hibbett in 3rd and Rice-Budo in 5th. Boy, I'll tell you, for Nicholas Rice-Budo, what Rick Zagrini did here was a huge savior for Rice-Budo. Look at this.
Yeah, Camden just got in there way too hot. This is his opportunity here to take the lead away because Rick Zagrini I think there was some contact there with Burkhardt. There was, and as those 2 opened the door, Hibbett had the opportunity to drive down the inside, but got in there too deep, Greg, and once he was off in the grass, that's the challenge of VIR, just maintaining control once the track slopes away from you. And then it was this epic brawl down the hill through Hogpen and back to the checkers. Rick Zagrini beat Hibbett for second by 32 one-thousandths of a second.
Look at this coming through Hogpen, how close it was. I got to give it up to Camden, even though he made that little mistake, how he saved that. Look at this at the line. Unbelievably close. But how he saved that from being a spin, I have no clue.
Yeah, that was almost certainly going to end in disaster, but just half a car length between those 2 for second place. And for Nicholas Rice-Budo, honestly, 5th place, not a bad result, all things considered. It would be a little bit worse if he was back in 7th, but a P5 is a salvageable finish in race 1.
I would think so. And for Hibbett now, and I think that would be 16 points. And I think 16, 14, would it be 12 points then for Rice-Budo? So I'm just guessing here, but that could make this now an 8-point championship heading into our final race, which is going to be coming up in very short order here as we're speeding things up just a little bit. But wow, talk about a compelling race, Kyle.
I mean, it finished as chaotic as it started, I think is a good way to say it.
Yes.
I mean, the manual ordering on the pace lap, and then we turned them loose, and there was a crash early on in the back, and then up front, those front 3 separated themselves, and through the field, Rice-Budo got up and down a couple of times, ended up P5, but up at the front, those 3 are putting on a show. But now, the show's aside, Greg, it's time to really get to work. If you were holding any punches back, this is the time to really show us what you got in the last 20-minute race here.
Absolutely, and let's think about it here. We got Rick Zagrini, who's still trying to fight for this championship. I don't know now that he's mathematically going to be in it at this point, but we've got Camden Hibbett. It will start 3rd. Rice-Budo will start 5th. All eyes will be on them, and but we've seen the speed of Jeremy Fairbairn. Jack Murchison having an absolutely fabulous run. He'll be starting up near the sharp end of things. Nathan Nicholson will get one more shot at this to be able to do something about it. And wow, Deacon Greenfield ended up 9th, the birthday boy. Another top 10 finish for Deacon. So got to be very, very happy with that. That would be, trying to look at it here, that would be his 6th top 10 finish. So he's having a very strong run here. And the guy who kind of lost out in that would be Jeremy Fairbairn with that contact.
Yeah, and how about Trace Hance? He was going to start on pole. They started the race the way iRacing recommended. He ended up 10th, so a top 10 for Trace as well. Nice result there.
And that was a fight.
It was.
To get up to 10th for him, for sure.
So, take a deep breath, because the next 2 or 3 minutes of pacing is all that you're going to get for the next 20 minutes. That race went by so fast after waiting so long for it to start. It just felt like it was over in an instant.
Well, and I think that is the drama of final rounds of a championship that is really closely fought, and the two prime contenders being in slightly different spots, just brought even more drama to it, trying to figure out, okay, who's where and who's doing what. And for Jordan Rixagrini, how proud can you be of this kid? Absolutely, knowing that he needed a really stout finish, and if he didn't, he'd be out of the championship, and just going for it after starting, I think back in like 6th or 7th. Got a great start and was in that front group and just ran away with them.
So the calm before the storm. Let's have another look at the weather. 128-degree track temp. That is cooking meat down there on the pit lane.
Yeah, it is.
Hot enough to get a steak to medium rare.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what that means, tires can go off if you overdrive them. And even in these 20-minute races, remember these, even though these cars don't have a lot of power, so you're not pummeling the rears too much, they're heavy. They're not lightweight formula cars, so they still will eat up fronts if you push them too hard. And so there is a little tire management, even in these shorter races, that you've got to be thinking about here. And I'll tell you, this is it. The Season 1 2024 championship is on the line. And by my very, very sketchy math, I will admit that right up front, I think it's a single-digit gap between our championship leader, Nicholas Rice-Puto, who will start 5th, and 2nd, Camden Himmett, the two guys that are really in this yet, sitting in that 3rd spot. So, wow, it's all coming to this.
I think we knew it would get down to be this exciting. I just didn't think it was going to be as wild as it has been. So,
yeah, me too.
Going to be an interesting last 20 minutes. I think if I'm Rice-Puto, there's something to be said for being in the fight, but not being part of it. And the reason I'm going to say this is because Camden Hibbett has to be aggressive, because he needs to have positions over Rice-Puto to win the title. But if Rice-Puto stays within a certain distance of Hibbett, there's no mathematical way Hibbett can beat him. So I don't want to be in a high-risk scenario if I'm Nicholas. I'm in the position of advantage still. I don't want to be the one racing Burkhardt and Rixagrini in a roller coaster. I don't. I want to sit behind and watch them wreck each other and either stay right there or pass them at the end. I don't want to put myself in a spot where I lose positions and lose out a title, even though I didn't have to race for the win.
I think it's a great point, and I think for Rice-Puto right now, he's in a great spot in many ways. If he can just stay right behind Camden Hibbett, he's going to be champ. I really don't think at this point, unless these two guys wreck each other, Camden and Hibbett, and Rixagrini wins this thing, that he's got any kind of realistic chance at it. So, yeah, I'm with you. If I'm Rice-Puto, I just lock onto the rear bumper of that black 132. Just follow him home. You're going to be champ. And as you said, there's a good chance up front that there could be some wrecking going on.
Well, there's always the challenge of telling a race car driver that he should follow somebody. as much as that makes sense in my head, I don't think that's very practical advice for the driver in that 0-3, Greg. But here we go. Last race of the season at VIR.
Well, drivers always want to win a championship in the last race with a win. So we'll see. It's that discipline thing. But here we go. We're green. The season finale underway. And again, Olivier Piatek getting a great launch, as did Rixagrini. But Morgan has that line to the inside here. What's going to happen? Piatek locking up a little bit. Is that lockup, or did he just blow a motor?
Motor for
he blew
Piatek.
a motor.
He's out. Crash.
Yeah. Oh, and a crash in the back. Trace Hance involved. Wozencroft got forced offline, And look who's trying to the inside move into left hook. Rick Zagarini has the inside line. What's Morgan gonna do? Is he gonna try and force it? He's gonna. Now he's got 5A, as they call it. He's got the inside line. They are side by each through the snake right now. This can end very ugly. And Hibbett is locked in, and again, Rice Puto has lost a spot to Jack Murchison. What a start by Murchison.
Here he comes up into the top 5. Rick Zagarini is now side by side as he's through on the lead on Burkhardt. Here comes Camden Hibbett. He is not waiting around at all. He needs to play for this, and here he comes up the outside, side by side, right by the villas here. They're getting a show.
Oh, and this is so sketchy into turn 10, and Hibbett at that point said, yeah, that's not worth the risk, and tucks in behind Morgan Burkhardt, then Murchison, then points leader Rice Puto, and he's got 2 guys side by side behind him, Nathan Nicholson and Fairbairn, and that is going to slow both of them out. So for Rice Puto, it gives him maybe a little bit of breathing room to work with here. And here we go, the long run down this back straight here. And the number 18, Gianni Morrow, having a nice start and finds himself up into the 8th spot. Jorge Ortiz, who has shown some huge speed this season, up into 9th.
Big starts by a lot of these drivers in their last opportunity. It's a lot of cars trying to jam their way down into roller coaster, though. 5 into 1 does not go over there.
No, not well. That's tough math, that's for sure. And now, well, I was going to say things look like people are settling, but then not so much. And Ortiz and Morrow still side by side. Finally have to let it settle through Hogpen and look up front. Now Morgan pops to the outside, and he got a great run out of Hogpen. Tried to side draft on Rick Zagarini, and now which way is Hibbett going to go? He elects to go with Morgan and see if he can round him up too.
Oh.
And
Nathan Nicholson went spearing off, and then more cars involved. Ortiz and can't tell who the other one was.
No, there goes Morrow.
Oh, 198 of Matt Friedman.
Friedman, what a shame. Those guys were putting it on. And didn't that same spot is where Nicholson had problems in the first race and ran wide.
Yep, that's been a tricky corner. I find the braking into that turn pretty challenging, especially if you're following someone. The track actually bends to the right before the braking zone, and you don't have great visibility. So if you're not planning for it, or you kind of lose track of where you are in the straightaway, you can just drive right off the track. I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, and I think obviously, I mean, it is such a tricky corner, and Nathan Nicholson's a gun, and it has caught him out here. And look at this right now. Jack Murchison is trying to claw back to this trio up front, and if he does that, he brings Rice Puto with him. It's not a huge margin, but we saw these same 3 cars check out from the field in the first race. And right now for Rice Puto, that is the last thing he wants to see. He wants to stay at the back of this group. And well, I'll tell you what, with Rick Zagarini popping out like that, I think Murchison and Rice Puto are going to, at the end of the straight, they're going to be there.
Yeah, the critical thing is that he's still within drafting distance of that front pack, especially with them battling. He's in the show. If he was back where Gianni Morrow is, 3 seconds back, I'd almost say, the race opportunity to win is over. He's just going to be in damage control, but he's very much still in it here as Rick Zagarini hangs on to the lead. Hibbett second, then Morgan Burkhardt third. And how many times have I seen drivers go off in here and accordion together and set each other off into the weeds?
Absolutely. And I mean, Hibbett right there, he really worked hard to get through on Burkhardt and take that second away by the time they got into the roller coaster. Really, really good run there. And there's Murchison with Rice Puto on his 6. And having a look here at Camden Hibbett, and that was an absolutely great pass he just made. And now with Rice Puto, he's going to look and try and draft through, get down and underneath, maybe clear Murchison, and now be able to put this more in his own hands here. And look at Hibbett up front, Kyle, working the outside. If he can make this work, you can round up around the outside. Is he going to have enough to be able to stuff it down the inside of Rick Zagarini into NASCAR? He does. A new leader. Rick Zagarini slots back into second as Hibbett goes to the point.
A well done pass there by Camden Hibbett around the outside of Horseshoe. Maintained the left through NASCAR bend and cleared Rick Zagarini there. So job well done, but I guess it's not done yet, is it? 14 minutes to go, and he just stole the lead away. Morgan Burkhardt has a slowdown, and he's going to have to give a spot back or two.
Oh, boy. I didn't see where that happened.
Yeah, it's easy to
But
get them in the
nonetheless-
snake area here, I think.
Yeah,
Actually
sure.
right here, I think is
Yep,
where he's
yep,
going to get
yep.
it.
Yes.
So that's not a lot of cut, but it's enough.
Yeah, and I think Murchison may have got one too because he was even farther over that curb. And so, how about this? Our top 3 championship contenders coming into the night, running 1, 2, 3 in the final race of the season.
And then there were 3.
Exactly.
The cream rises, something like that. There's a saying about it.
Yep. It is. And then this, we've got, obviously, we'll see whether Burkhardt and Murchison can run these guys down. But behind them, there is a battle royale going on. Morrow sitting in the 6th spot. The 133 of Laufer in the purple car in 7th. Skip Brock in the yellow car in 8th. Patry in the PRG car, red and white in 9th. And Dean Dibdahl in that white car sitting in 10th. This is an absolute brouhaha. And they are putting on an absolutely great show as well. And
Nathan Nicholson's back here as well, trying to carve his way back through the field, and he's got work to do.
And how about Wozencroft, right there in the number 80? He's been really, really impressive in these final few rounds here this season.
Yeah, found his footing for sure, and
yeah, he did.
Got shuffled at the start, but didn't let it bother him. He's actually still up on where he started the race, so that's all worth considering. Down the front stretch.
Elliot Burton in the 6th there, too, doing a nice job. Not familiar with him.
Oh, yeah.
And Rick Segrini gets behind him and giving him a little bit of a push. Rice Puto comes up. Well, I'll tell you, talk about covered by the proverbial blanket. I think it's a law somewhere that I have to throw that in at least once a race, because I get people telling me that seems to be a favorite phrase of mine. So, but they are. What can I say?
So close here, but I liked what I saw at Rice Puto. Saw the brake lights come on at the tail end of the straightaway. I think he knows he does not have to win this race. It would be fantastic to win this race. It would be great.
Yep.
You'd love to do it. You just don't have to. So if you're going to put yourself at risk to do it, and you lose the race because of that, that'll be a regret you have for a long time.
Well, and the best thing he could really do right now is just work with these guys in front to keep Burkhardt off his tail. Because Burkhardt's going to be coming up on it. Now, we would certainly hope that Morgan, not being in the championship, will be respectful of what's going on. But if Morgan comes up, if he sees a clean pass, he's going to try and take it, because this guy is a race car driver, and that's what you do. So for Rice Puto, we'd love to be able to just ease away, but Burkhardt has already trimmed that down to under a second. So, and basically, there he is.
Yeah, right in frame now, and it's the front 4. And then it's about a 1.6 second gap back to Jack Murchison, and he's kind of his own pack right now. He's got no one in front of him and no one behind him immediately to work with, so he'll probably just drift more into the purgatory of racing up this back straightaway without anyone to really latch onto. But 11 minutes to go, so we're nearing halfway, and Camden Hibbett is right where he needs to be. But I think he knows that if Rice Puto finishes 3rd, Camden Hibbett can't win this championship. So he'd love for Morgan Burkhardt to get up here, I think, and mix this up and maybe shuffle that 0-3 off track. Oops.
Did you say that? No.
I mean, I'm not saying he would do it intentionally. I'm just saying that it could happen.
But it can happen, absolutely. I'm really intrigued to see what Morgan's lap time was as he comes by this time, because he made up a massive deficit here in this one lap. His last lap was a 2:15.9. But I want to see what it is this time, because he is part of this battle right now. I'm going to be eyeing this and see what time clicks up here. It's got to be a good one, I would think, or either that or the others just didn't have much of a lap at all. And let's see what that time was here.
Here comes Rick Segrini back to the lead.
2:15.3. Oh, look at this.
Whoa, car in the middle of the field.
Lap car spinning.
How did they miss that?
Everybody up. And right now, and I think that was Morgan right there being gentlemanly, realizing if he fought for that. Let's see how this all started. They got a good battle going, and the guy spun up front on his own.
Oh, man, Rick Segrini and Burkhardt just dodged that, inches apart.
And that was a quick react by whoever that was that spun to just punch, the eject button.
Yes, get out.
Just get out of the way here for anybody else that might be coming. But that in the end, that did cost Burkhardt again, and he lost time. But as I said, that last lap, he made up that huge amount of time. The top 3 were running low 2:16s. Burkhardt went at 2:15.3 for best lap of the race. That was a lap, folks.
Yeah, he's on a mission, and last lap on the left-hand side of your screen as well. It is just so fierce here up at the front. And how many laps has each driver led? 1 each for Hibbett and Rick Segrini, 2 for Burkhardt.
Yeah, this is just becoming enthralling here. Rice Pudo, I'm sure and I think if he finishes 4th, he'd still be champ, but he'd just as soon have a little bit of buffer here. But now he's losing some touch, and Burkhardt might now decide to try a move. He's got a great toe, a great run heading into roller coaster, and Burkhardt decides not to force the issue there. Again, I think obviously being mindful of the championship.
Yeah, it's got to be so hard to just not throw your elbows out and get after it, because that's what you've done all season long. But Morgan knows what's on the line for these drivers and all the things that come with being a champion. He's been it 3 times. He knows how it feels.
Absolutely, and he's, in that first season when he won all 3, each one of them, the margins were closer and closer and closer, and he knows how hard you have to fight for it, and when you're mathematically absolutely out of it, last thing you want to do is affect somebody's race. And wow, did Rice Pudo make up a huge ton of ground there. He caught a double draft, and then Rick Segrini popped out, gave him a little bit more of a run, and he was down by about 5 car lengths by the time as they hit start finish and made it all up under braking here.
I guess they're going to replace those virtual brake pads after the race anyway. Might as well use them up.
Use them babies up. Oh, and for him, as I said, I'm not sure on the math here, but Rick Segrini, he'd need to have Hibbett and Rice Pudo blow up, obviously, to have a shot at this championship. So is he going to be mindful of what's unfolding here? Race hard, race close, but just don't touch here. This is just such compelling stuff. And every time Burkhardt gets shuffled back for whatever reason, he just quickly gloms right back onto the back of this championship deciding trio here.
These 4 continue to run nose to tail. Bit exciting back here behind Gianni Morrow, Skip Brock Jr., Nathan Nicholson, Michael Lauren, and Caleb Patry. This is another 4 or 5 car battle, and there's a few more tagging onto the back. Look at Morrow chasing the car across the road through South Bend.
Yeah, South Bend or turn 10, such a diabolical corner. One of my favorites in the entire world of motorsports because of the speed and the blind entry and the off camber as it falls away on the exit. And, you just overcharge it just that wee little bit, and that can happen. He did a nice job of not only saving it, but not really losing much speed at this point. And he's got Skip Rock glommed onto him, and as I say that, look at this! As Rick Segrini found an opportunity.
Oh, they're both wide. Here comes the lead. They're both at 0-3. How is he going to do this?
3 abreast, side by side by side, down through the roller coaster. Oh, and a touch there. In a big wiggle. It's the 2 championship contenders that have that touch. Here comes Burkhardt stuffing it down underneath, Kyle.
How did that happen? We have to go back and watch that again. That was unbelievable. Little contact there from Rice Pudo on the back of the Hibbett on the back of Rice Pudo, rather.
Yeah, he just misjudged trying to get back into the toe, and they touched.
What was that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it all started. Rick Segrini looked like he had a nice clean move in. Got there. And then Hibbett right there is to check up, runs wide. Here comes Rice Pudo. And now they're both forced off. Oh, look at this, Kyle.
And then Burkhardt sets these guys up beautifully, sees that they're battling in a critical spot on the track, crosses over, throttles up, and takes both those spots.
Yeah, and that was as clean as could be. Kudos to Morgan Burkhardt, obviously. As I said, he's a racer. If he gets a clean opportunity, he's going to jump on it, and he did. So now we find this scenario right here, and obviously at this stage, Rice Pudo, with Hibbett just behind him, is going to win as we're coming up on only 5 minutes to go. What is that, about 3 laps?
Yeah, it's going to be
Maybe
2 to go at the
by the
stripe.
time they get around here, yeah. So now what does Hibbett do? The other guys we talked about, Rick Segrini and Burkhardt, trying to be a little bit clean here. And nobody's going to intentionally just wreck somebody, but is Hibbett like this going to be willing to rub paint a little bit, and comes through. Now that could really slow his exit out of the all-critical Oak Tree turn. And Rice Pudo is right there, but look at what they've got in front. We got a lap car. Rick Segrini and Hibbett should be able to clear him comfortably. But what happens next? Look at Murchison suddenly not that far back. Side by side, Kyle.
Yeah, these two are not giving up, and the 0-3's in the grass. No love lost between these two now as the championship's on the line. If they work together, Greg, I thought the best opportunity for Hibbett was to bring Rice-Puto back into that lead fight, and maybe there would be some calamity. But now that they're battling each other, the only chance is that if they run into each other, and that wouldn't be the controversy we're looking to end the season on, but I'll tell you who's loving this is Burkhardt and Rick Segrini.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, Rick Segrini, if he came in here third in the points, it was a distant third. And if he can get a win to wrap the season up, he'll be delighted with that. But the interesting thing here is what's now third and fourth. And this is what we talked about earlier. Let's see if Morgan Burkhardt decides to try something here, and no, he checks it up. I think he backed off so he could have some options here, depending upon what Rick Segrini did in the corner. But at this point, if I'm Rice-Puto, I'm just following Hibbett at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can really do. Here's Lauren, Skip Rock Jr., Caleb Patry, Elliott Burton back here, just tail half of the top 10. We've watched the front runners a lot tonight, but the racing has been thrilling all through the field.
It truly has. And this group, yeah, it has been just a battle royale at this point. And Dean Dibdahl, remember last time we talked about him, I think he was in 9th. So he has very, very nicely worked his way up in that amazingly still pristine looking all white number 99 up into 7th spot right now.
Who let VIR be this good?
Yeah, this is absolutely. Well, we said it at the top. There are few places where you would have to really, truly earn a championship, and South Bend right here is one of the good reasons. And let's see what happens here now. And look at this, a little bit of a gap developing here. Oh,
Lauren's offline. That's a tough place to be on the inside.
It really is.
There's Elliott Burton.
I'll tell you what, he's impressive. Elliott Burton here. I'm not familiar with him, but he is working his way. Look where he started.
26th.
He's putting in a drive today.
Hold that thought. Battle for the lead back on here. Rick Segrini.
Here we go.
Burkhardt knows the tail. They're still pushing here. I noted that Hibbett actually has reeled in these guys slightly.
Yeah.
But he's only going to have a lap to make up a full second. So with these two continue to work together up front, it's still going to be challenging, but Hibbett is trying everything he knows how to do.
And I think very smartly here, Rice-Puto, with Hibbett going through, has backed off just a little bit, just in case Hibbett has some sort of an incident, or the guys up here, Rick Segrini and Burkhardt, end up getting in an incident. I think he wants to be laying back enough where he can work his way through it and not risk any damage. I think this is a very savvy move as the white flag comes out, and Burkhardt showing the nose for a second on Rick Segrini. Rick Segrini covered him. Here we go, last time of the season, and last time here tonight into turn 1.
Camden Hibbett just revved that car to what sounded like 13,000 RPM on the downshift. He is trying to get every ounce of performance out of this car. He gained 0.3 of a second through turn 1.
Look at that drift.
And big slides for these guys, but Hibbett is closing, Greg. He might have a shot.
He is.
He might have a shot.
That drift he just had at the exit of 1 into turn 3 through 2 and 3, drifted it beautifully and carried a ton of speed, and he's taken about a half second off of that deficit. And if these guys up front, if Burkhardt starts showing his nose here and there, widening that vehicle width with the two cars, that just opens that draft even more for Hibbett.
He's making time up even through the S's here. He's going to be within 0.3 by the time they get to Oak Tree. Camden Hibbett is not done. He's not out. He's going to race this all the way back to the checkers to give himself the best shot at a title here. Over the bumps through South Bend and into the dirt. He's going to be right on the heels of Burkhardt and Rick Segrini with a half a lap to go. Contact.
Oh, just gave Burkhardt a little bit of a tap here. And Burkhardt, it looked like, even so, got a nice run out of Oak Tree, but Hibbett can go with him at this stage. And Rice-Puto going, yeah, no, don't want any part of what might be unfolding here. Such a smart move. Here we go, Burkhardt pulling in. And remember, he said in the previous race, Rick Segrini was really good on the brakes down into the roller coaster, so he wanted to get this pass done. Hibbett electing to go with him, trying to freeze Rick Segrini, does that.
Through the second.
Look at this. Oh boy.
Down the hill, and the last time Morgan Burkhardt trying to pick up another win on the night. Camden Hibbett, though, is right here trying to get a run back to the checkers. Understeer here as they're going to be running back to the stripe. Can he get to the lead and win this race and potentially the championship here, Greg? Last stripe.
He got such rotation, it looked like he was going to be able to get straight out of there. But then, as you said, understeered, and it's going to be Burkhardt coming through. Hibbett, a fighting second. Rick Segrini in third. And Nicholas Rice-Puto in a championship winning, I'm confident, fourth spot. Look at this battle as Dibdahl going to make it all the way up. What a finish by Dean Dibdahl up into the sixth spot. He just, there was a, he's too far back of Murchison, but what a final few laps Dibdahl put in. Look at this run, Kyle.
And by 15 thousandths of a second, and then Skip Brock Jr. was 3 wide with Patchery and the 61, who was a lap down, Andrew Guada there. But what a battle that was to the stripe.
What a couple of races we have witnessed tonight, Kyle. What a joy to be able to call these.
Yeah, that was a fun time. There's still a battle coming back to the stripe here. Andrew Gilliland is in it with Trace Hance. This is a battle all the way back here for 23rd.
Hey, they're racing, right? That's how this is played. And Gilliland, this young kid, is just so impressive here. Looking to see what he's going to be able to pull off.
Here he
Does
comes.
he get it done at the line? He pops out. Oh,
not enough.
So close and just not quite there. What a great battle those guys put on here. How fun is that?
Well, Morgan Burkhardt wins a second race on the night, but the battle between Hibbett, Rick Segrini, and Rice-Puto was for second in this race, but it was for first in the championship. And now sketchy math, perhaps, but Nicholas Rice-Puto came in the driver ahead, and he might have done just enough.
Yep, I think he did. Just enough is the word. And I mean, what made this even more dramatic was the where he finished in that previous race, and he really had to be tracking Camden Hibbett, and he did a beautiful job of that. And I think he knew the math, and I think he backed off. I look forward to asking him that question, Kyle. Did he back off and say, yeah, I don't want any part of what could be happening in front. If I finish here, I'm champ regardless. If he did, that we talked about his consistency this year, just a point-scoring machine, and clearly his racecraft did what he needed to do tonight.
So cars coming down to pit lane. We're going to talk to a couple of our drivers here momentarily, briefly tonight. We'll go over it more on April 2nd on our post-season awards ceremony. But Nicholas Rice-Puto celebrating.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think he's pretty confident, and I would certainly understand that at this point for him. Wow, absolutely remarkable here. But again, Burkhardt, he came in here after missing a couple of early races, and he ran one, but his heart wasn't in it just because he had other things he was attending to. But this, by my reckoning, should be his 6th and 7th wins on the season after a couple of races where he just obviously was focusing on his real-world program. But Camden Hibbett, man, he did not go down without a fight, nor did Jordan Rick Segrini. I am really proud of what Jordan did tonight. He came ready to fight for it right down to the end. And then Nicholas Rice-Puto, after that first race, understood the mission in the second race, pulled it off beautifully. And again, what a drive by Elliott Burton.
Yeah, great result there for Elliott Burton and for a handful of others that really had a good showing. Andrew Rosencroft in 12th. Hort Schmidt from the back of the field up to 14th place in that race as well. Nice job running there. Again, we're a little bit delayed because of the issue at the start of race 1. So we're not going to talk to everybody tonight. We're going to talk to our top 3 in the championship, and then everybody else will do in the award ceremony in a couple of weeks' time. But let's first talk with Jordan Rick Segrini. Briefly, Jordan, because we're on a bit of a tight schedule here, but P3 tonight in race 2, and it seems like it should be P3 in the championship after all the math is done. But you were out there racing for it tonight. Take us through your evening.
Yeah, things got shuffled around. Some people lost their cools, just had to keep a level head out there. Everybody had to deal with what happened, so no sense in getting a fuss about it, and went out there and just put in my laps. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good quality time. My time was just by myself with no tow, but overall, racing was fun. It was fierce. A lot of mind games being played between the front pack between those two races, but super fun. Thanks to my friends watching right now, and mom and dad and Jamie, everybody that supports me. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Jordan, quickly here, I'll tell you may not have got the qualifying run you wanted, but you got the start you wanted in that first race. It was great. And you came out guns a-slinging here. You were not going to give up a shot at this mathematical shot at the championship without a fight. You drove the wheels off that car. Absolute delight, as always, to watch you race. Way to go after it and fight for it right down to that last checker, man. Proud of you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well done, bud.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, let's talk with Camden Hibbett, and it was second in the race and so close in the championship fight, Camden. Tonight, you put it all out on the line, absolutely pushing for every ounce of speed you could find, but Nicholas Rice-Buda had a pretty good night and was able to keep the distance close enough that he was able to snag the championship anyway. What more could you have done tonight? Because it seemed like you laid it all out there on the table.
Yeah, I kind of threw away the championship in race one, honestly. I made a stupid move into roller coaster on the final lap, and I should have just stayed in line. I think I was going to get one of them, and I think if I did the math right, I think it was 2 points at the end, and that would have been the difference. So ultimately, it comes down to a stupid mistake on my part at the end of race one, but you know, it is what it is. It's racing. We're gonna make mistakes. It's just a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, but Camden, obviously, you know, you're going for a championship. That door opened, you went for it, and that's a racer's move. Yeah, it may have been a little bit of a mistake. How you didn't end up spinning, I'll never know, because in that spot where you were, normally the back end comes around and you're done, and you saved it, got it back on track, and were able to still have a shot at the championship at the end. But you've had a phenomenal season, you know, especially this is only really your second season racing with us. And to make the moves you made from, I think, 7th in your first season to fighting for the championship right down to the last checkered flag, absolutely stellar job. I hope you're as proud of it as we are of you. It's been a joy to watch, man.
Yeah, I think it'll sink in a couple of days. I'm still, like I said, I'm still really frustrated with myself because I definitely think that I had a really good shot coming into it, and like I said, I think I just threw it away in race one, but it is what it is. I'm definitely excited for next season. I think my mindset changed a little bit like halfway through the year. Just the aggression level picked up, the confidence went up. I think if I would have had some better luck in the mid-season, just unfortunate racing incidents there in the middle of the season, I think it would have been a different story coming into this week. But it is what it is. It's racing. Huge congrats to Nick on the championship. He was stellar all season long, and it's going to be a heck of a fight next season.
Oh, it sure is. We can't wait for that. And again, I hope it does sink in a little bit because it's been a marvelous season for you. But keep that smile on your face. You've earned it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Camden. And after all of that, Nicholas Rice-Buda by 7 points over Camden Hibbett. Man, tonight was an all-out brawl, Nicholas. You had to really get up on the wheel. And things were looking a little bit grim after race one just because you didn't quite get ahead of Camden to maintain your fight. So you knew you'd go into race two having to defend. What a great race. And you just laid back and watched all the drama happen out the windshield right there at the end.
Yeah, I did all the math prior, so I knew where I needed to be. All I knew is that I couldn't let Camden win both races. So and then I should have been okay as long as I finished on the podium. But yeah, I was trying to slow him up in the second race, just so he couldn't get to those leaders, and then I would have been fine too. I don't know if you noticed that, but.
Well, we definitely, in that second race, we were wondering what was going on, and then it looked like you maybe just dropped off a little bit, and my thought was, were you thinking if he got up there, because those guys up front were fighting like crazy, you didn't want to be involved in any of that potential melee to be able to come through for the championship?
I didn't want to be involved, but when he was behind me in the points, all I knew is that if I stopped him from getting to first, then I was locked on the championship. So it was just, a lot of math going on my head.
Well, I bet there was, and you
Yeah.
know, being aware of that is everything. First race, have you raced against Jeremy Fairburn before? Because we were speculating a little bit because you guys had early contact, and if he's not familiar with you, were you being a little extra cautious?
No, I've raced against him prior. Yeah.
Yeah, with his speed, I kind of figured you guys may have met somewhere before. But here's the deal, Nicholas. We've had four seasons you've hit for the cycle. Fourth in the first season, third, second, and now champ. Man, I'll tell you what, it has been so cool to watch your progression, watch your racecraft. And Kyle and I were talking about just the number of races that count this year and the number of top fives that you've accrued, earning points. That's how a championship is won. You are a champion, bud. Incredibly well done.
Thank you, guys. It feels really good. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, we're so happy for you and so very proud of you, Nicholas. Just enjoy the hell out of this.
Thank you, guys. I can't wait to watch it. I'm sure it's full with drama.
Oh, it was. My voice is about as raw as it's been after one of these.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nicholas. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, this race was full of everything, Greg, wasn't it? Dramas at the start, dramas at the finish, and man, what a way to finish off Full Send Sims the next season. This has just been an unbelievable season, and we're going to get to recap it all on April 2nd.
I know, I can't wait. That's going to be the award ceremony. Again, it'll be live on YouTube, 7 p.m., folks. Make sure you tune in. Huge thank you to Court and the gang at Full Send Sims for, not only building some of the most incredible Sims imaginable, but for envisioning this series, making it reality, and then having it be more and more exciting at every race. Massive thanks to them. We also, of course, have to say a huge thank you to Frank Rodriguez and 3P Logistics. They have been a presenting sponsor from the very first race of the first season, and they are remarkable at the real-world track. They are remarkable in terms of their support here. Same story for Final Turn Motorsports. Both of those groups are, if you want to go real-world racing, check them out. They are as good as it gets, and they continue to support here, and of course, Wine Country Motorsports as well. A good day, too, for Deacon Greenfield on his birthday, so thank you so much, Deacon, for taking time and coming out and playing with us. Next season starts, we want to remind everybody, April 30th, another 10-round season, but remember, April 2nd is our award ceremony live on YouTube for Kyle Heyer and, of course, for Finian DeCuna, who we've talked about, for Court and everybody involved in this championship. A huge thank you for another amazing season. We can't wait for the award ceremony. And until then, I'm Greg Creamer. Do take good care, everybody, and we'll see you on the 2nd.